Ever looked around and thought, why do I feel off? Like, on paper, life's great. You've got the job, the relationship, maybe even a dream trip checked off. But inside, there's this weird emptiness you can't explain. If that hits home, breathe. You're not broken. And no, you're not being ungrateful. That feeling might actually be a quiet signal. Like life whispering, hey, something deeper's going on. Today we're diving into that. Why having it all doesn't always feel like enough, and what that emptiness might really be trying to tell you. The truth about that empty feeling. Let's talk about that emptiness. You know the one. That weird, quiet feeling that something's missing, even when technically you've got everything you ever wanted. A solid job, a comfortable life, people who care about you, and yet, inside your own head, something feels off. Why does that happen? Why do we sometimes feel so unfulfilled after working so hard to make it? Well, here's the thing. We spend so much time chasing the goals that society hands us, success, money, recognition, that we don't always stop to ask, wait, do I actually care about any of this? It's like running a whole marathon, crossing the finish line, and realizing you were on the wrong track the entire time. And to make it even trickier, we live in a world that sells happiness 24/7. Social media, ads, movies, they're all shouting, look, real happiness means smiling 100% of the time and being effortlessly amazing. Anything less? Failure. Which honestly is a lot of pressure. Like, let us breathe, Instagram. The truth is, happiness isn't a constant state. And that empty feeling, it might just be a signal that we've gotten disconnected from something that actually matters. Our values, our passions, maybe even who we really are underneath all the noise. Take this example. Someone works their butt off to get promoted. They get the title, the paycheck, the applause, but then realize, wait, I never even stopped to ask if this is what I wanted. And that's when the emptiness sneaks in. A not-so-gentle reminder that we may have been living someone else's idea of success. But here's the good news. That empty feeling, it's not your enemy. It's actually a chance. A chance to pause, to reflect, to ask the big, uncomfortable questions like, am I living my life or just following a script someone else handed me? So before blaming yourself or thinking something's wrong with you, take a deep breath and ask yourself, am I living in a way that feels true to me? Or just trying to win at a game I never signed up for? Because maybe the problem isn't you. Maybe it's the definition of happiness we were all sold. And if that's the case, here's the best part. You can rewrite the script. The lie we believe about happiness. We live in a world that tells us, pretty much from the moment we're born, that happiness is something we earn. There's a formula. Go to school, work hard, buy the dream house, find the perfect partner, travel to cool places, and bam, happiness unlocked. But is that really how it works? Think about it. How many times have you finally reached a goal you really wanted, only to realize that the happiness you expected was kinda short-lived? And then you thought, well, okay, maybe I'll feel truly happy when I hit the next goal. And just like that, the chase continues, like a race with no finish line. The truth is, we've been trained to believe happiness is something outside of us, that it depends on our bank account, our likes on social media, or compliments from our boss. But no one tells us this way of thinking keeps us stuck in a loop of not enough, because there's always going to be one more thing to chase. Think of how many people who seem to have it all open up and say they still feel empty inside. That's because happiness isn't a trophy you get from the outside world. It's way more about what's happening inside you. It's about how you experience your life, how you see your wins, and what those wins mean to you. And here's what makes it even harder. This myth gets reinforced constantly. Social media shows us highlight reels of perfect lives. Ads promise we'll be happier with just one more thing. So, when your life doesn't look like that fantasy, it's easy to feel like you're doing something wrong. But here's a big thought. What if real happiness isn't about what you have, but about how connected you are to yourself? Maybe inner peace starts when we stop chasing approval and start tuning into what actually matters to us. Maybe happiness isn't about having, it's about being real with your values, your emotions, your choices. It's not easy to unlearn all this. This myth is everywhere, but just realizing we've been conditioned to think this way, that's already a huge step. Because happiness isn't a destination, it's a process. A messy, beautiful, very human process. So what if we started redefining what happiness really means to us? Let's explore that shift together and see how it might help us live with more lightness, honesty, and freedom. Why you shouldn't ignore your sadness. How many times have you heard things like, just stay positive, or don't be sad, look on the bright side? Yeah, we've all been there. We live in a culture that's low-key allergic to sadness. Like feeling down means something's wrong with you, or worse, that you've somehow failed at life. But here's a truth you don't hear enough. Feeling sad is completely human. Just like feeling happy, excited, or in love. Sadness isn't some glitch to fix. It's a signal, a little emotional alert that something inside you needs attention. Think of it like a rainy day. We might wish for sunshine, sure, but rain has a job to do. It helps things grow. And sadness, it can work the same way. Those heavy moments, they might just be watering the soil for something new to bloom. Maybe you're going through a loss, a disappointment, or just one of those weird days when nothing feels right. That doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're alive. You're experiencing the full, messy, beautiful spectrum of being human. And there's something strangely beautiful about those tough moments. It's where we connect with our vulnerability, where we pause, look inward, and sometimes discover strength we didn't know we had. But to do that, we have to let sadness be there, not fix it, not rush through it, just feel it. So hey, if you feel like crying, cry. If you need silence, take it. There's nothing weak about feeling. The real issue starts when we pretend those emotions don't exist, because they always come back louder. And here's something important. You don't have to go through it alone. Talking to someone you trust, or even reaching out to a therapist, can make a huge difference. There's no shame in needing support, like zero. So next time sadness shows up, don't slam the door in its face. Let it in. Listen to what it's trying to tell you. Because sometimes, sadness is just your soul whispering, hey, something here needs care. And now the big question, how can we move through those tough moments without letting them take over completely? Let's dive into that together in the next part of this journey. Reconnecting with what really matters. When was the last time you asked yourself, what actually matters to me? Not what society says should matter, not what looks good on social media, but the kind of stuff that deep down makes you feel like you're living with real purpose. It's easy to lose sight of that in the middle of everyday chaos. We get so busy meeting expectations, solving problems, chasing goals that we forget to look inward. And without even realizing it, we start living on autopilot, following rules and ideas that don't always reflect who we really are or what makes us feel alive. But here's the good news. It's never too late to pause and reconnect with what truly matters. And no, it doesn't mean you need to flip your life upside down overnight. It's about small, honest steps that help you find your way back to what feels real. Let's try a quick exercise. Think of a moment when you felt genuinely happy. Not the flashy, Instagram-worthy kind of happy, but a quiet, real joy. Maybe it was a deep conversation with someone you care about, a walk in nature, a simple moment where you just felt at peace. Now ask yourself, what made that moment special? Was it being with people you love, feeling free, feeling connected to something bigger than yourself? Those little things, they're not so little. They reveal what truly lights us up inside. Here's another powerful question. What are your values? What do you believe is non-negotiable in your life? Maybe it's honesty, love, creativity, helping others. When your daily choices line up with those values, life starts to feel more meaningful because you're living on your terms. Just remember, reconnecting with what matters isn't about having all the answers. It's about being willing to ask the right questions, to clear a little space for what actually feels right for you. And slowly, something amazing happens. That feeling of emptiness, it starts to fade. You begin to see that life has more meaning than you realized, and that the simple things, they often turn out to be the most valuable. Normalizing vulnerability. Let's talk about vulnerability. The one that sounds a little scary, a little heavy, but is actually one of the most human things there is, because let's be real, we've all had those moments of doubt, of sadness, of feeling completely lost. And yet for some reason, we're taught to hide it, like it's something to be ashamed of. Like not being okay means we've somehow failed. But here's the truth. Vulnerability isn't weakness. Actually, it's the opposite. Being vulnerable takes courage. It means being honest. It means saying, hey, I'm human. I mess up. I feel stuff. And sometimes I need help. And guess what? That's normal. Super normal. We live in a world that kind of worships having it all together. Social media shows us curated lives with perfect smiles and perfect lighting. Movies give us dramatic comebacks and happily ever afters. And in the middle of all that, we start to think, wait, am I the only one struggling? Spoiler alert, you're not. Real life is messy. It has ups and downs. And those low moments, the vulnerable ones, they matter just as much as the win. Think about the last time you opened up to someone and said, hey, I'm not doing great right now. Terrifying, right? But also kind of freeing? That's the magic of vulnerability. It creates real connection. And 9 times out of 10, the person on the other side goes, wow, yeah, I've been there too. So here's the deal. It's time to normalize feeling sad or overwhelmed or unsure. Those emotions don't define who you are. They just prove you're living through the full experience of being human. And asking for help, that's not weakness either. That's self-respect. That's saying, I don't have to carry all of this alone. And you don't. Whether it's talking to a friend, a family member, or reaching out for professional help, sharing what you feel is powerful, It lifts the weight, it breaks the stigma, it opens doors. Because here's the truth. We're all vulnerable. Every single one of us. And that's not something to hide. It's something to honor. So if you take one thing from this part of the video, let it be this. You are never alone on this journey. Even when it feels dark, there are people out there, ready to listen, support, and walk beside you. And now let's talk about how those small moments of openness, those little acts of honesty, can start to shift the way we experience life for the better. Small steps, big shifts. When life feels heavy, it's easy to think we need some massive, dramatic change to feel better. New job, new city, new haircut. But here's the truth. More often than not, it's the small steps, the simple, consistent ones, that quietly transform the way we live and feel. Let's start with something that sounds basic, but is secretly kind of magical. Intentional gratitude. Now hold up. We're not talking about ignoring your problems or pretending everything's sunshine and rainbows. This is about pausing for a second and noticing what's already good. A warm cup of coffee, a quick text from someone you care about, the sound of rain tapping your window. When you start giving those little things a second of your attention each day, you begin to rewire your brain to see the beauty in the ordinary. And that's powerful. Another game-changing move? Simplify. We live in a world that's constantly yelling, do more, be more, have more. But do we really need all of it? Sometimes letting go of the extra noise, whether it's an obligation, a toxic thought, or that endless comparison trap, can give you more peace than any achievement ever could. So here's a challenge. What's one thing you can release today? Maybe it's a task that doesn't matter. Maybe it's the pressure to be someone you're not. Every time you choose simplicity, you create space for what actually matters. And finally, maybe the most powerful step of all, connection. We weren't built to do this life thing alone. You don't need a giant friend group or constant social plans. Sometimes one honest, soul-nourishing conversation is enough to remind you that you're human and that someone gets you. Value those moments, and when you can, be that person for someone else. A new perspective for you. So here we are. We've talked about the pressure to have it all, the quiet emptiness that sometimes sneaks in, the myths we believe about happiness, the importance of feeling everything, and the beauty of taking small, honest steps. And now, let's zoom out for a second. What if the goal isn't to fix ourselves? What if it's not about becoming some ultra-optimized, perfect version of who we think we should be? What if it's simply about learning to see life and ourselves with new eyes? Because when you start shifting your perspective, things begin to change. Not because the world magically becomes easier, but because you show up differently, more present, more real, more connected to what actually matters. It's not about chasing some ideal, it's about slowing down enough to ask, what feels true for me? It's about choosing to live with a little more intention, even on the messy days, especially on the messy days. And if there's one thing I hope you take from this whole conversation, it's this. You're not broken. You're human. And that's more than enough. So wherever you are right now in your journey, just remember, it's okay to not have it all figured out. It's okay to move slowly. And it's absolutely okay to rewrite the rules you were handed. Now, if this video made you think, even just a little, hit that like button. And let's keep this conversation going in the comments. What's one small step you want to take this week that feels true to you? I'd love to hear it. And of course, if you haven't already, hit subscribe, because we're just getting started. There's so much more to explore together. Take care of yourself, take deep breaths, and I'll see you in the next one.